RotoGrinders. Welcome to the NFL Pre-Lock Show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. blenderhd, blenderhd. If you want to follow me on Twitter. Joined by Tim Buell, TastefulTides. First time doing a Monday night football slate. And, of course, they give you the great games. That's the 49ers and the Rams. I think this is actually... it's not a bad showdown slate. It's like especially with the inactives that came in, it kind of opened up some possibilities. The Niners are always kind of bag of magic tricks. You never know. It seems troll touchdowns galore. You may not like it for the classic slate, but I think it's good for showdown. So it's still a low total. I was talking about a 41 total. What are your overall thoughts about tonight's showdown slate? The thumbs in the chat, by the way. Feel free to hit the thumbs up buttons, like, subscribe, and post your questions in the chat, and we'll answer some. So I forgot to turn on the lights in my office for the camera. I'll turn on the lights, and Tim, what's your overview of the slate?
Yeah, it's great to do a show with you, Blender. This is going to be a tricky game to break down. We had a couple kind of big news pieces when inactives and actives came out. We got Malcolm Brown and Tevin Coleman back in our lives somehow.
What year is it? What the hell year is it, Tim?
I know. It's like I stopped counting right around March 2020. And I don't even know what year it is. So we got Willie Snead back in our lives somehow. I don't think he's going to be that big of a deal, but still, he's out there. So I think Malcolm Brown is going to play at least a little bit, and I think Coleman is going to have the better projection, likely the better usage, but I feel like Brown could snipe like a goal line touchdown. It's just I think he is going to hit the field. I think he is going to be used a little bit, but I mean, obviously, like for cash games, single entry, Coleman's probably the better play.
So the inactives news that you need to know: Tutu Atwell for the Rams, inactive, and then we have Malcolm Brown active. We have Tevin Coleman. These two guys coming up from the practice squad. My thoughts as a showdown contrarian player. I'm playing large fields, Tim, right? I'm playing two lineups in the 222, which is not that large, 2,500, but the really large.
Just to cut you off real quick, just so people know, you and I are kind of like the odd couple, right? I mean, you play large fields, I play kind of more single entry cash game type play. So I feel like you and I are actually a pretty good combo for this. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. The lineups that I play you probably shouldn't play in your contests, right? I'm going more for uniqueness. I don't need uniques. They don't have to be like one, but I'm looking for under fives, at least minimum under 10s. Anything that's over 10, I made a mistake. I probably shouldn't have had. I use my tools, the theory of DFS.com. I use the duplication predictor. I build a whole ton of I build like 3,000 lineups, and then I pare them down from there. And I'm not looking for the most probable. I'm looking for the most profitable. I don't mind. My showdown for NFL every year has essentially been I play about 50 showdown slates, and I lose money on 47 of them, right? And the 3 that I win money on, maybe 2 are like, okay, I made a couple $100. I made $1,000 or something like that. And then 1, I make $100,000 or I make $50,000. And then it pays for all the other ones. And then I still have a 30+% ROI from there. So just understand where we're coming from. When it comes to these guys you're more of a football guy than I am. Okay. I'm more of a numbers guy. I'm just arranging the numbers the best I can. I like attacking fragile situations, okay, that is going to be high variance. And typically, if people are going towards high variance, I tend to stay away. So if people are overconfident in a situation, I tend to have less of them. And people that are underconfident, not sure, they stray away from it. I barge right in. We've seen I mean, you could think of it two ways when it comes to these guys. Now, because now the teams have one extra running back on their roster. Most people, I think more people, especially since people don't react to inactives as much, most people think in terms of, oh, they brought up a guy. We see this with receivers as well. They brought up a guy from the practice squad just so they have depth. So it's like they sit on the bench. It's like, you're here just in Malcolm Brown, you are here just in case Cam Akers or Henderson gets injured or something. We may mix you in. Maybe you'll get a snap or two. Tevin Coleman, he has a history with Shanahan. So it's like, with Price not active, it's like, okay, they're keeping the same amount of running backs they had, but it could be that I'm going to leave you on the bench. You're here for, Jeff Wilson will be in. Mason will get a couple of carries. Juice Check will always kind of mix in, in some sets. And you're here just in case. But there are also, Tim, a lot of times that the guy that's coming up from the practice squad is coming up for a reason. They've been practicing stuff, some type of scheme that specific week for that specific team. And it's like, okay, we're bringing you up because we need you to get involved more, right? I think of Tevin Coleman and go, he knows that Shanahan system, and he doesn't, if you compare it to Jeff Wilson, much better pass catcher out of the backfield. I mean, yeah, he's older or whatever. Maybe they're looking more for that. And then with Malcolm Brown, it's like, maybe they similar thing. I mean, the Brown has played for the Rams team before, so it's like he knows the system. We're going to be running. That Tutu Atwell isn't active, and they didn't bring up another wide receiver, so maybe we either see more 2 tight end sets. Maybe we start seeing some swing passes out of the backfield more. So, like, I'm leaning towards. I mean, I built my lineups before inactives, and I started just replacing stuff like my cheapie. Like, okay, here's a lineup that has Dwelly. Change it to Tevin Coleman. Here's a lineup that has like Kendall Blanton in it at the second tight end spot for the Rams. Let me put Malcolm Brown in it, because for like $200, all you're pretty much looking for is a touchdown. I mean, like in these types of builds like that, do you think I'm overvaluing the situation that these guys may get more than 2 snaps? Maybe we see 10, 15 snaps. Maybe we see more than we think. Or maybe they see less reps, but when they do come in, the plays are kind of more designed for them. That, Tevin Coleman on 8 snaps, maybe he catches 3 balls and has a touchdown. Maybe Malcolm Brown comes in, change of pace in the red zone, and he lands in the end zone once. And we all, anyone with Akers or Henderson is like, oh, what's going on here? What is your assessment? Do you for Showdown, for main slate, you would never consider this whatsoever. But for Showdown, I can't expect these guys to be more than, I mean, Malcolm Brown may be 1% owned. Tevin Coleman may be like 3 to 5% owned. And on a slate where there's really not a lot of the stuff, especially on the Rams, is very condensed. Finding that cheapie that gets 6 points may be valuable.
Yeah, so in terms of like running specific plays for certain players, I think that's more going to be like the Malcolm Brown type thing. I really think that there's a legitimate chance. Like, granted, I'm not saying that he's a cash game play. Like, you're right, he's going to be somewhere between like 2 and I don't know 8% owned, I'd say. But I think that they're gonna design some plays for him, possibly around the goal line. I think that McVay wants to use him. I don't think he called him up for no reason. So I think that Tevin Coleman is going to get more volume, like maybe 10 to 15 snaps. He is by far the safer play. I play single entry. I have Coleman in my lineup right now, and I don't think that's going to be changing before lock. So I have Coleman right now, just because it opens up so much salary relief, and I can get up to more studs. And I do want to say, and you'll definitely have more to say on this than I will, but Juwan Jennings was kind of like the chalky darling, I feel like, early in the day, and I would imagine that his ownership is going to drop quite a bit because you have these couple $200 guys. So Jennings plays about 50% of the snaps. He actually has a role on this team. And I feel like people are either going to go down to, like me, down to like Coleman or Brown, or up a little bit, and a guy like Jennings is going to get squeezed out.
I think it depends on the contest you're playing. I think in your contest, that may be true. I think in your contest, Jennings ownership will go down since there's now a little bit more option on the bottom. But in the large field stuff where we got, half the field is average Joe building one lineup in the toilet. Like these guys go under. Like Jennings would actually be under owned in large field GPPs. Right. Even if without this inactive news, like I would look at the ownership and go, yeah, we have him at 14, but he'll come in at 10. In your contest, without the inactives news, he would have came in at 22 or something. And then you'd be like, okay, now he's a little bit overowned. So I think the effect of that will be felt more in your contest than the smaller stuff. I think you may see slightly higher ownership on a Coleman or a Brown in single entry to jam in those suds. Because, I mean, the top plays of the slate are clear. It's Cooper Kupp and it's Deebo Samuel. And personally, I think in this type of game, although the quarterbacks are correlated, obviously Kupp is more correlated to Stafford than Samuel is to Garoppolo. Because Samuel, they have designed run plays with Samuel. So Garoppolo may not get a passing touchdown there. I'm not opposed to slate. My two single entry 222 lineups have Kupp in the captain and not Stafford and no Stafford in the flex. And I think this, out of all slates, especially at the prices of 10.6K and 10.0K for Garoppolo and Stafford, based on our Sims, which is a part of our premium package, go get the NFL the yearly or the combo premium. Click on the link in the description. Right, you get $10 off your first month. Like this that in the Sims, like quarterback captain is like overowned. Like only shows up Stafford 4%, Garoppolo 4%, and they're going to be owned like 7 or 8 each or something like that. And flex, they're a little bit better because raw points may matter more. But there are so many outcomes where, like Samuel, you could see it. Right? The 49ers win 28 to whatever, and Samuel has 2 touchdowns and 1 is rushing, or 2 is rushing. I mean, like, then 1 is rushing, and then Jeff Wilson has a touchdown, and Juszczyk has a rushing touchdown also, and Garoppolo's sitting there with 200 yards passing and 1 touchdown and doesn't make the optimal lineup. It's much harder for Kupp because Kupp is not going to, they're not going to have running plays or anything. But I could see a total world where all the production on the Rams goes to Kupp, but 2 of the touchdowns out of the maybe 3 they score goes to running backs, so that Stafford has like the same line as Garoppolo, 201, but Kupp has like 140 yards on 8 catches and a touchdown, and Stafford at 10K doesn't beat out like Jeff Wilson's 80 yards and a touchdown, and Akers falls in the end zone, and Kittle has yards. Are you in smaller field? I could see you want the quarterbacks to have the highest floors, so I totally get. But I think almost too many people are going to be playing 2 quarterback lineups.
So I'm not playing 2 quarterbacks. I'm not playing Jimmy G. I can completely understand if you want to play double quarterbacks in cash games. I'm only playing Stafford. I'm just going to give you a little bit. I just disagree with you a little bit about the Rams rushing. This is just a horrible matchup for them. So I feel like their touchdowns are going to come through the air more likely than not. Mm. So this is just such a brutal matchup for these Rams running backs. So I think San Francisco is only allowing 2.9 yards per carry. So I think if the Rams want to contend in this game, it's going to be through the air. That's just my take, though. Obviously, I could be wrong. I mean,
they could, Tim. They could, yeah. And they could get the pass, and then Cooper Kupp's down at the 1. And then they
that's true. But I don't think like say they get to like the 6 or the 10-yard line, it's not gonna be like they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna have the ability to run a couple run plays and get into the end zone. That's yes. If they get to the 1-yard line, then yes, my take is incorrect. But
I
I'm
agree.
a little bit more bullish.
Tim, I agree with your sentiment, but I'm playing it a different way. I'm playing it the sneaky way. Okay, listen to this. Remember, I'm a large field person, right? I get it if you don't do it in small field. You're right. The 49ers are much better against the run than the pass, which you have to expect then, probabilistically, that the Rams may be throwing the ball more. Teams that throw the ball more, throw more interceptions and get more sacks. Playing Cooper Kupp in the captain without Stafford and playing the 49ers defense in your flex. Like that, I'm describing my 222 lineups because so many people think in terms of defenses in fantasy, in DFS, as preventing points. I care about sacks, interceptions, and pick sixes. And remember, what happens on a pick six? The ball goes right back to the other team. So, like, if Stafford throws 2 picks, one of them is a pick six, like Cooper Kupp is going to have like 12 catches in this game because they're going to be behind. They're going to have to throw the ball more because they can't run the ball on the 49ers as much. But the 49ers is sitting there with 12 to 14 points on defense, even if they give up like 17 points in the game. So, like, I'm choosing to play it more that way, where I have a lot of lineups where I have Kupp and the captain and Wilson and the 49ers defense in the flex, hoping for the situation where a lot of short fields for the 49ers, rushing touchdowns for the 49ers, and then the Rams passing the ball a lot. And their production is very condensed, and it's mostly going to Cooper Kupp. And because Stafford is throwing 2 interceptions and he's giving up short fields, he may only have 201 touchdown anyway, and he doesn't make the output. Cooper Kupp still scores 28 to 30 regular points plus the captain score. And then you look at the lineup and it's like, well, this looks not correlated. And it's like, technically, based on that type of game script, it is correlated.
I really like your take on the San Francisco 49ers D. As you can see in our sim tool, they're going to be in the optimal about 20% of the time. And they're only going to be owned around 13.5%. So I guess we're up to 14% now. But, I do agree. I like that take, having some Cup captain teams and a 49ers D. I consider playing 49ers D in my single entry build this evening. I decided not to, but I completely understand it.
I'm way over on the Tim. I'm playing 77 lineups in total, 75 large field lineups and the 222 lineups that I also throw in the large field. I have 40% of the 49ers defense.
Yeah, so you'll be.
And remember, I'm usually on these shows. If you listen, I think DST gets overplayed in Showdown too much. Like, people play DSTs too much. This game, the DSTs aren't being played. And I think the 49ers, both teams' defenses are going under-owned for their expectation. And I also think, in a weird way, Cooper Kupp is going under-owned. I think Cooper Kupp's probability, I think Kupp more so than Samuel, although I like Samuel. I think Cooper Kupp, based on the way that these offenses distribute the ball, it's just so likely that Cooper Kupp is the top scorer on the slate, like by far, that in my 77 lineups, I have 55% Cooper Kupp captain lineups. And I'm just like, hey, if it doesn't go my way, I'm perfectly fine, airballing, dust, but put in whatever, get like minus 90%. I just think the edge on this slate is Cooper Kupp and the 49ers defense and less 2 quarterback lineups. And I'm just like quadrupling down on that. And because I just don't think those lineups are going to be used as much. And then you also leave 2,000, 3,000 on the table on top of it. And let me get some lineups that are only duped like 3 or 4 times.
How many double defenses do you have?
I never play double defense.
You never do that?
I never play double defense, and I also never play the defense against the opposing kicker. Okay, because you have to think that if the other team is behind, they're not kicking field goals in the second half. They're going for, if they're down by 2 scores, they're going for touchdowns. They're not kicking, 27-yard field goals. They're going for it more than that. And also another thing that I do is that I exclude, if I could do a boost, negative boost, I would, but in lineup HQ I can't do boosts. I exclude in a captain running back lineups. I don't play the opposing unless it's a pass catching running back. If it's a running back, I don't play the opposing kicking or a defense in the flex spot, because if the running back is running 150 yards on 30 carries and 2 touchdowns, most likely the other defense ain't doing anything, and the kicker, they're behind and they're not kicking field goals.
Other than Cup and Samuel, who do you think would be your next option for a captain MVP type play?
That's tough. I mean, lineup construction wise, I think a lot of people. I'm playing much less of him in captain, only due to lineup construction duplication issues. Is Higbee in the captain? Because really, if you put Higbee in the captain, you have so much freedom to, like, okay, I love my lineup with Higbee in the captain. The problem is that for large field showdown contests, if you look at your lineup and you love it, that means it's a bad lineup. That means it's duped 328 times. And then once you start taking that, then I'll leave 6,000 in salary. And it's like, wow, this projection goes really down. Like, I'd rather, because then you need Higbee to not only be the top scorer, but then you need multiple cheap guys to also outscore the expensive guys. And that combination doesn't happen as much. I'd much rather play an expensive captain and then try to find 5 to 7 points from a $200 player or a $1,000 player or something. Like, it seems like, Cooper Kupp's going to be the most owned captain. It's like, yeah, but you know how many combinations you can make with a Cooper Kupp captain lineup? It's so many more than playing, let's say you played 49ers defense in the captain. Like, if I just showed you that lineup, like if I show you this lineup right now with 49ers defense in the captain, which I have none of, like, your average remaining player salary is $87.40. Look how great this lineup could be. I got Kupp, I got Stafford, I got Samuel, I got Higbee. I mean, like, I could play anyone I want, right? Play kicker, I could play Skoranek. Like, this type of lineup, even leaving 1,100 on the table, is going to be duplicated 168 times. I mean, like, it's just like, there's only so many ways. 1.18% of the we have is captain ownership for the 49ers. But remember, this contest is 176,000 entries. So if we multiply that by 1%, that's still 1,760 lineups, right?
Yeah.
And how many are you going to use all their salary? Tons.
Right. I'm eating 1,600 in my single entry tonight, just because I'm trying. I try not to just build like the Opto, duped a million times type lineup. I try to be a little bit different. But yeah.
Are you playing Kupp in the captain?
I am. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But you don't have to get as different as I like. You leaving 1,600 on the table, like the main contest that you play, how many entries are in it?
It's the 444 3 max is what, 200 people. Then I'm in all the $100 single entries, which range from like 1,000 to like 200 people. And then, like, I think the $200 single entry I'm in has like 400 people in it.
Right, so but you're describing contests like, I mean, look, the smallest contest I play is the 222 max, which is 2,500 entries, and I'm like, okay, small field for me. And then the 176,000, like, that's the large field for me. Like,
right.
In a 200-man contest, like a Cooper captain, a Kupp lineup with leaving 1,600 on the table, like, you're not even going to be duped.
Right. That's what I'm hoping. But I mean, sometimes even in those contests, there is like a few like train type lineups where they get duped, 10, 12 times. And I don't want to be a part of that. So, yeah.
Are you pairing Kupp with Stafford?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
I could probably guess your lineup. Do you want me to try to guess your lineup?
Go ahead.
Are you afraid of being duped? You said you're playing Coleman though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to make it much easier for me. 7,000 left, and you said you're not playing Garoppolo, right? Are you playing Wilson with Coleman?
No.
Okay, then let's go through. Okay, so you got Debo in there, 5,400. I'm going to guess. Is it this lineup? Cup captain, Stafford, Coleman, Samuel, Higbee, 49ers defense.
No.
Oh,
But
well, 1,400 less on the table. So, Robbie Gold.
Correct.
Okay, there you go. Okay, see?
Yeah.
I got my skills.
Yep.
If you're playing the 444, do not play this lineup.
It's full, so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe people. I don't think people are going to switch right in a second just to dupe me. But
Right.
Yeah.
So other than the so we talked about the main top options. We got 8 minutes left. Let's talk about some of the other guys.
I think we should talk about George Kittle real quick.
Okay.
Like I understand like he is pretty cheap on the surface. I think that we all know that he's one of the best tight ends in football. He's also one of the best blocking tight ends in all of football. And the 49ers offensive line is a little bit banged up. Now, I think that the sentiment is that he's not going to have a great game tonight. I think that just like we were talking about with Tyler Higbee as a contrarian captain, I think that you could get somebody like Kittle as a contrarian captain. So I just think he's a decent play.
How about cheaper than that? Like, okay, so we talked about the real cheap guys. Like we talked about Coleman and Brown. These are pure flyers. I mean, like you're playing with fire here. It's quite possible that both of these guys get 0 snaps. I mean, like that is within the range of outcomes. But how about these guys like Brandon Powell? I mean, we talked about
so you want like a flex play?
Yeah, I'm just not definitely not captain, but I'm talking about people that are underneath the because when you play, essentially what you have to think mindset wise is that if you're going to play a guy that's cheap, what's their probability of outscoring the kickers and the defenses? So that's really what it comes down to, of like, how much does the 49ers and the Rams, Gold and Gay, score? If you can beat them with the cheaper player, like that's your goal. If you can't beat the kickers and the defenses, these guys are probably not going to appear in the winning lineup. So like, I'm not talking about all the way down for Brown and Coleman, but how about Powell, McLeod? We talked about Jennings. Jennings is probably, from a median perspective, the top guy out of the bunch. But we got Blanton, the second tight end for the Rams. We got Jordan Mason. I'm not a big, because they also have Marlon Mack available. I mean, like, truthfully, I think Kyle Juszczyk is at single digit ownership is worthwhile to play. And it's weird for me to say, I think you could play him with other running backs on the team. I mean, I think that he plays almost a second tight end role sometimes.
Yeah, no, you can definitely play him with other running backs. And yes, he would be my favorite of the cheapy punts that could definitely outscore the defenses or the kickers. That's definitely my favorite.
Do you think with Tutu Atwell inactive? I mean, I don't even know if he saw the field last game. I mean, he didn't get any targets, even if he did.
I don't think that does a whole lot for me. I don't think that really changes my perspective on this slate.
That you don't think that increases the likelihood of Powell snaps or Blanton snaps? Or he didn't play that much, so I don't know how much that it affects anything.
Right. I mean, I don't think it affects that much, if I'm being honest. Like,
okay.
yes, you can sprinkle him in a 150 setting. There's a lot of guys I would say that about. He would be one of them, but I don't think that really changes that much from a macro perspective.
Right. And guys like that, even like a guy like Blanton is the tight end in Showdown, touchdown or bust guy. I mean, like these guys like that are just like, it's going to be on the 4-yard line. They're going to play action, tight end 3-corner, play, and he's open, like on the fake. Malcolm Brown, how much effect do you think in the range of outcomes affects Akers or Henderson, and which one do you think it affects it more?
I really don't know who it's going to affect more. I think, like I said at the top of the show, I think that they have brought him up for a reason. I don't think he's going to be active tonight and just stand on the sideline. And I think that the plays that he gets are going to be they're going to call plays specifically for him. It would not shock me if we like we talked about, if the Rams get the ball at the 1 yard line, if they give it to him, and he snipes a touchdown from Akers or Henderson. If I have to guess who this affects the most, it's Henderson, but that is purely a guess.
I mean, really, with the Rams running backs as a guess, even if he wasn't in, right? I mean, like even between Akers and Henderson.
That's why, because I would like. I'm trying to envision if I was playing like 20 teams tonight, how much Akers or Henderson I'd have, because this is a really bad spot. This is a bad matchup. You're guessing it's a 50-50 split. Now you have Malcolm Brown in the mix. I don't know. I don't know how much I would have, to be honest with you. Like, what are they going to be on?
In the chat, I just want to highlight, since Tim, you're more of a football guy than I am. 2-2 plays on special teams. Eric Lynn in the chat, it said possible Malcolm Brown is just necessary for his role there. This is my just common sense take. Do running backs play on special teams as much as wide receivers? I mean, like, it seems like running backs, because of the nature of them running into the line a lot, that you'd save them and not like have them make contact on special teams as much as wide receivers.
They do play on special teams, not as much as wide receivers do. And I do not know if Malcolm Brown will play on special teams. But running backs do play on special teams. They do.
Okay. I was just considering, if, for instance, if on the kickoff you don't see Malcolm Brown on the kickoff, wouldn't that be a good sign for Malcolm? Like, if you see him playing special teams, it's quite possible that that's correct, that he's just there for special teams. Right?
I doubt he's there just for special teams. I really doubt that.
Because you would think they would call up someone else from the
right. Why do that? I mean, I don't think that they would call it. Maybe he does play special teams, but I don't think he was called up just to play special teams.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. Feel free to get those likes in. People going through the YouTube chat. In a DK GPP, Derek asks Coleman or Juszczyk. I think Coleman is lower owned.
Yeah, I'd rather go with Coleman. I have Coleman.
And also, I don't mind playing Coleman with Wilson.
No, I don't mind either.
Do you mind? Do you have playing Brown with one of Akers or? I think I'd rather not do that. Play Brown with either of the other two.
Yeah, definitely tonight's a max rule 1 Ram running back.
And it may end up, it should have been a max rule 0.
Yeah, maybe. That's a chance of it.
And I think they're a little bit overpriced. Like, I'm playing a lot more of Akers than I am of Henderson. But I think for his ownership, I think it's, I mean, remember, I'm playing screwed up lineups. So like don't do what I do in your normal contests.
Well, I mean, it's Showdown. It's I always say it's variance on top of variance. Like, we're already playing a high variance game in DFS, and then now we're throwing just one game. Now it's like variance is huge.
But it's an island showdown game, Tim. That means we should just be playing all the tight ends.
That's true.
Right? Why can't we play a Kittle captain, Higbee, Blanton, Dwelly, right, and just then the 2 quarterbacks. Right? Just all the tight end touchdowns.
KC, what, did they have 3 tight ends last night that scored, I think?
Well, they had Gray scored from the sneak, and they had Fortson score. Did Kelsey score?
I think so.
Okay, so 3 tight ends. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, we are at lock. It is 8:15 Eastern. Good luck. Don't do. I hope you didn't dupe me. I don't mind. Okay, let me make this concession to the large field people. Since I aim for under 5s, let's split it. Like, be one of the guys that I'm like tied with under 5, but don't be part of any train that I'm on. Right. Right. For you, good luck. I'm not in your contest, Tim. So good luck to you.
Yeah,
If Cooper Kupp captain is the winning captain, and the 49ers defense has double-digit points, I'm in a good spot. And if not, then on to Thursday's showdown.
Hey, it was a pleasure doing a show with you. It's, you're a real sharp mind in the DFS community, so it was a lot of fun.
And you got some words in.
I did. It was hard, but I did.
Right,
so,
you interjected. That's what you need to do with me, because I'm just
Right.
it lets you talk. I'm just going to fill the time.
That's right.
Okay, all of our showdown content, all of our NFL content, all the good ownership, the projections, lineup HQ, the premium shows, everything. Go get it. I don't know what you're waiting for, right? All of this analysis behind the scenes in RotoGrinders Premium. There's also a Discord that's always active. I have my own channel in there, Blender's Game Theory. You can ask me questions anytime you want in there. I do coaching sessions. I do everything. Tim, he's always doing write-ups, expert surveys, everything like that. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month of Combo Premium. Go to scoresandodds.com, obviously, for all the, your line shopping needs. And I'll see you guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning, as usual, at 11 o'clock Eastern pregame show. So for Tim TastefulTides, I'm Jordan Cooper, blenderhd, and this has been another edition of the NFL Pre-Lock Show here on RotoGrinders.com.